This one's about Hugo Talks. He's that Zorro type guy. No one knows his face, and he loves to cast dispersions about other people on YouTube, claiming that they're controlled opposition. Everyone apart from Hugo is part of the cabal and controlled, and you shouldn't trust them, according to Hugo. You can only trust him. Personally, I've never really been comfortable with that, especially from somebody who stays anonymous and we don't even know what they look like. And I think he smeared way too many people, many of which I'm convinced are not controlled. So I think it's now time to turn the spotlight around and point it firmly at Hugo and ask, who is this guy and what are his motivations? According to the Bible, you'll know them by their fruits. And atheists, they have a slightly different phrase, don't they? Actions speak louder than words. So what have I observed Hugo doing, if that's even his real name? It all started 2 months ago when my YouTube channel kept on being bombed by comments, loads and loads and loads of them, but similar, you know what I mean? Different people, but they all kind of wrote similar. And they were bombing my site with blatantly anti-Semitic, Holocaust-denying comments. And in particular, there was repeated links to this film called Europa, the Final Battle, or Final something, or of conflict or something. I clicked on that film once because I was, just curious. And it was basically, within about 30 seconds, this kind of absolute meathead appears on the screen, complete with facial tattoos, and it's just basically the standard thing that all of the world's problems that have ever occurred are the fault of Jewish people, and and the Holocaust never happened, and all sorts of mad and ridiculous stuff like that. My feeling at the time, and it still is my feeling, is that I was under attack by a group of people who either wanted to have my channel deleted from YouTube on the grounds of anti-Semitism. It was hosting anti-Semitism. Or the other thing was to just have my channel discredited by attaching some sort of smear label to it, that it was associated with anti-Semitism because people were posting Holocaust denying videos and other Jew-hating comments, basically. So what I did next was I removed all the anti-Semitic comments from my channel, and I banned the people that were making those Holocaust-denying comments. And then I also felt the need to put the record straight about my own feelings towards Jews as a Christian. Who'd been to Israel, when I was, in my early 20s. I went on a kibbutz twice. So I made a couple of videos, and they're still up on my channel now. And yeah, they may be definitely worth a watch. The first one's called The Jews, What I Saw With My Own Eyes. And then the second one is a follow-up to that, Deception, Don't Jump Out of the Frying Pan into the Fire. So in the first of those videos, I talked about how I'd seen an elderly Israeli woman on the kibbutz in Israel. She was in a medical centre, and she had a tattoo on the inside of one of her wrists, and obviously I recognised that from what I'd seen in books about the Holocaust and how the Nazis tattooed the Jews that they put into concentration camps. I then posted the video onto Hugo Talks' Telegram chat channel, where basically people can post things that they think are of interest, and sometimes people react to them, and I used to get quite a lot of views from that channel. And I also wrote some comments to go with the video on Hugo's Telegram chat channel, to the effect that though, I felt I was being attacked, and I also felt that anti-Semitism was going to be used as a tactic to smear people and then remove them from the debate. So you might have somebody who's got deceived about the Holocaust, and for some unknown reason, they think it's a hoax, and that then means that they can't comment on anything else, including valid comments that they might have on Nazi-like Divok tyranny. In my first video as well, I mentioned the fact that I'd visited Auschwitz and I took some students there back in the mid-90s sometime, and the camp itself was absolutely huge. And the other thing that I actually wrote, I think, alongside, well, I definitely was responding to people initially on Hugo's channel who was insisting that the Holocaust was a hoax, with stuff like before World War II, there were huge Jewish communities all over Europe. As I say, prior to World War II, in cities like Prague, Vienna, Budapest, Warsaw, Amsterdam, Berlin, all over the place. And then immediately after World War II, these Jewish communities disappeared. So if you don't believe in that the Holocaust happened, what happened to all of these Jews? What's your alternative explanation? Is it alien abduction? Would Holocaust deniers deny the existence of the Einsatzgruppen, for example, and all the photographic evidence of Jews actually being slaughtered by the Einsatzgruppen, by being shot into ditches? So I posted all of this stuff up onto Hugo's Telegram channel, his chat channel. I wasn't kind of bombing into his own main channel, writing stuff that was irrelevant. This was in a chat, an open forum. And guess what? All my comments and the videos were deleted. And furthermore, I was then immediately banned from making comments on either his chat Telegram channel or on his main channel. And then I was very, very quickly banned from his YouTube channel for making comments, and also on his Odyssey channel. I'm probably banned on other outlets too, but I've not even bothered looking at those. So the $1 million question then is why did he do it? Because there must be a reason for it. It's not an accident to delete people from 3 or 4 different places. So it's purposeful. It's as an economist, I would say it's purposeful action that's orientated towards achieving some sort of objective. The first possibility is that Hugo agrees with the kind of anti-Semitic commentators that on the facial tattoo man's Europa film, that the Jews are responsible for everything that's ever gone wrong in the world, and that the Holocaust was a hoax. Now, the other interesting thing that might support this point of view is that Hugo never deleted those comments, those anti-Semitic comments, and he never deleted the links to the Europa, the final battle video. And what I've seen, particularly on his Telegram channel, but also on his main channel, his own website, from time to time, fairly frequently, there's some blatantly anti-Semitic comments made on his channel, and links, as I say, to this Europa final battle film. Now, personally, I find this very interesting because Hugo claims that he's a Christian, and he certainly does post up links to the Bible, and he incorporates Bible verses into his videos, which is great as far as I'm concerned. Now, this does make me perplexed though, because Jesus was born a Jew. Real Christians aren't Jew haters. Real Christians understand that during the Great Tribulation period, the Jews will be given a second chance to accept Jesus as their Lord and Saviour. Real Christians also understand that according to the Bible, the Jews are God's chosen people. So they certainly wouldn't be anti-Semitic. And they would be quite angry about other people being anti-Semitic towards Jews. And they would also be quite angry about people that made Jew-hating comments. Real Christians believe that we should love one another, all of us. It's also blatantly factually inaccurate to blame the Jews for all the world's problems. So what do the following people all have in common, or not have in common? So, the Clintons, Macron, Boris Johnson, Joe Biden, Jill Bates, Fauci, Jacinda Ardern, Trudeau, Rishi Sunak, Macron, Rutte, Chris Whitty, Valance, Tony Blair, Klaus Schwab, Angela Merkel, Vladimir Putin. I'll tell you one thing that these people don't have in common. They're not Jews. If there is a religious group that is to blame for the world's problems and the Great Reset, the anti-human Great Reset, it will be Satanists, not Jews, Satanists. If you want to pin the blame on somebody, pin it on the Satanists. And if there is one person that hates the Jews more than anybody else, it's Satan. So consider that, Hugo Talks. So my question to Hugo Talks is, why do you take down a video about anti-Semitism, but yet you allow comments and links to videos that are blatantly Jew-hating anti-Semitism? That's my question to you, Hugo Talks. My feeling is that Hugo Talks has an IQ in excess of double figures. So I don't believe he actually is an anti-Semite. I think there may be another game at play here. And that game is called bait and switch. So Hugo's debate, his videos do contain some excellent information. And he's prolific. The amount of videos that he produces is amazing, and they're all packed with fascinating insights. And as I say, I particularly like the stuff that he does that's related to the Bible. So two things. Well, one thing about that is he must have a team of people behind him, because I know from personal experience that it's extremely time consuming to produce these videos. So who's doing Hugo's research? Who's helping him? It looks like to me that there's an operation behind him producing tasty morsels for you guys to consume. And the switch is called guilt by association. So as most of us have recognised now, the establishment, they love to use labels to corral and smear their opponents, and that they either want silenced or, even worse, removed from circulation. So Hugo recently, he's been saying to people to go to his own website rather than going to other social media sites. I think that's, and leave comments there. I think that's quite interesting. A couple of things to say about that. I've been on YouTube now for about 18 months, and in that time I've had 3 videos removed from YouTube, and that's despite the fact that I use an awful lot of code. Hugo, on the other hand, doesn't use any code whatsoever, and he never seems to get videos removed. Things that make you go, right? So that's the first thing. Second thing is, when you leave comments on Hugo's website, you also have to leave your email address. So Hugo is going to collect a nice long list of emails, and that list of emails could easily be handed over to somebody else for a roundup list, of all the people that are dissenting from the New World Order and the Great Reset. So I'm not saying that this is the case, but I certainly wouldn't rule it out as a possibility. And I think on balance, this is probably the more likely of the two explanations. either that or Hugo really is incredibly dim and he's not read the Bible, because if you're a Bible believing Christian, as I've said, there's no way that you would support Jew hating, including Holocaust denial. So again, a question for Hugo, like, mate, why haven't you, if you're a Christian, why did you boot me off, but you've not booted off the Jew hating comments and the links to the Europa final battle video, which is blatantly anti-Semitic? And as I said, if I were you, I would be very, very careful about leaving comments, particularly on his website, because there's a danger of you being judged guilty by association. You know, there's all of this anti-Semitic stuff up on his site. Certainly, it's not all the time, but especially on the Telegram channel, occasionally on his own website, there's anti-Semitic stuff there. If you also make comments, somebody else can come along and say, well, you're part of his gang. You know, in fact, doesn't he say that? He used to say that, didn't he? Come and subscribe and join a gang or something like that. Am I imagining that? Didn't he used to say that? So just watch out for him, because he might not be legit. And, you know, why would he hide his face? Why the extreme secrecy? And then also, why his desperate desire to smear so many people? You know, there's this, what's it, there's a news channel, isn't it? GB News. I don't watch him all the time, but, you know, I've not heard anything come out of the mouth of Neil Oliver that I would disagree. But Hugo smears him and says he's controlled opposition. I'm not sure. If I was to go out for a drink with somebody, I'd much rather go out for a drink with Neil Oliver, somebody who's brave enough to show his face on camera and tell you who he is, rather than somebody who hosts a website where he's quite happy to have people writing Holocaust denying stuff. You know, and again, if you are one of these people that's been taken in by Holocaust denial, you just need to look at some basic facts. As I say, you know, before World War II, there was huge Jewish communities all over Europe. Then after World War II, these Jewish communities were gone. Like, so how do you explain that? What happened to these people? If you look at TV programs from, say, was it the 1970s? There was a very good World at War episode about the Holocaust that featured lots of original footage of the Warsaw ghettos being cleaned out, the Einsack group and operating in places like Estonia, shooting people. They actually showed those images. Now, are you telling me that all of that is faked? I don't think so. Are you telling me that when I went to Auschwitz and saw this huge camp with, I don't know, maybe 100 wooden huts, unheated, are you telling me that I was imagining that it was a hallucination? Are you telling me that? So let's end where I began, with the Bible quote of you'll know them by their fruits. So let's see what Hugo Talks does. Is he going to continue to host blatantly anti-Semitic, Holocaust-denying comments? Or is he going to delete them? Maybe Hugo Talks should actually produce a video clarifying his position on what he thinks of Jewish people. So that's all I'm going to say about Hugo Talks. You'll know them by their fruits. Let's see what he does. So, God bless.